There is a door on this platform that cannot be opened. Behind it, right now, 4 men are breathing. If the rig catches fire tonight, they stay. Opening that door kills them faster than the fire will. They do have an exit. It takes 5 days. 5 days while the gas already dissolved in every tissue bleeds back out, molecule by molecule. Rush it by a single hour and their blood foams inside their veins. So if the fire is now and the exit is 5 days away, what happens to you? You sit inside the steel, and you wait for one of them to finish first. So here's what they do to you on day 1. The chamber is the size of a large wardrobe laid on its side. 2 bunks, a porthole the width of a dinner plate. They close the hatch and spin the seal, and the blowdown begins. Pressure climbs. The gas compresses and heats the air around you, so the chamber gets hot before anyone touches a dial. Your ears fill and you swallow again, and the swallowing stops working because the pressure is climbing faster than your body can clear. But none of that is the thing you notice first. The thing you notice first is your voice. The breathing mix is helium and oxygen, not air. Helium is light and it carries sound faster, and within minutes your voice rises into a high, tight squeak, like a broken toy. You will sound like this for 28 days. Every word you speak, every call for help, every sentence to the man in the bunk beside you comes out in a pitch that no longer sounds human. And here's the fact worth carrying with you through the rest of this. You are still on the platform. Dry, warm. You have not touched the water. And you already cannot leave. 28 days. That is the international ceiling. Seal to seal, the industry calls it. The moment the hatch closes to the moment it opens again. 4 weeks in a tube smaller than a caravan, at 9 times the pressure of the air outside. The first enemy is cold. Helium conducts heat out of your body roughly 6 times faster than normal air. At room temperature, in a helium atmosphere, you freeze. So they crank the chamber to 30 degrees, tropical, sauna thick, and you still shiver under blankets. Your body dumps heat into the gas faster than the heaters can pour it back. The walls sweat. Humidity sits close to 100%. Everything you touch is damp. Food comes through a small medical airlock. They pressurize the lock, pass the container in, equalize. A hot meal is warm by the time you get it. A cold drink is room temperature. Nobody comes in to hand it to you. Nobody can. If you get sick, you stay sick. A doctor cannot walk through the door. If your tooth breaks, you manage it. If your chest hurts, someone talks you through it on the intercom, in a voice you can barely understand through the helium squeal, and you hope the advice is enough. Your family cannot reach you. You cannot reach them. There's a hyperbaric lifeboat bolted to the outside of the system. In an emergency, the crew transfers into it without ever dropping pressure. The lifeboat does not open the door. It takes the pressure with you. You leave the burning platform sealed inside 9 atmospheres, bobbing in the North Sea, waiting for a ship that can dock with your capsule and continue your decompression. The rescue does not let you out. The rescue moves your cage. Every 8 hours, the bell drops. It hangs from a cable above the water, a steel sphere barely wide enough for 2 men to stand. They climb in from the chamber through a short passage called the trunk, seal the door behind them, and the winch lets go. The bell sinks. Inside, you are still at 9 atmospheres. The pressure matched before you left. The water outside and the gas inside you are equals now, and that balance is the only thing keeping you intact. Connecting you to the surface is a single bundle of lines they call the umbilical. Gas to breathe, hot water pumped through your suit because the sea at 150 meters is close to freezing, and helium has already stolen the warmth your body tried to keep. Communications, power for the light. 1 cord. Cut it and you have minutes. The bell settles near the bottom and you open the lower hatch. Below your feet, black water. No sunlight has been here since the structure was built. Visibility is what your helmet lamp gives you, sometimes a meter, sometimes less. You drop into it and you work. Pipeline welds, bolts corroded into solid rust, valve assemblies the size of a car engine, handled in gloves so thick your fingers feel like sausages. 8 hours of manual labor in a place that would crush unprotected lungs flat. On the entire planet, roughly 300 people do this work. That number comes up often enough in the industry that it carries weight, even if no one keeps an official register. 300 people who live inside pressure for a month at a time, leave it only to work in the dark, and cannot come home until the gas lets them. And the gas decides the schedule, not them. Not them, because after enough hours at depth, a change happens that no one on the surface can see. Your tissues saturate. The helium you have been breathing dissolves into your blood, your fat, your muscles, your marrow, and at some point the absorption levels off. Your body cannot hold anymore. Every cell is in equilibrium with the pressure around it, soaked through. And from this moment, the math of your survival changes. You are no longer a person who went down. You are a person who became the pressure. It is inside your bones. It is dissolved in the fluid around your brain. The surface, the deck 15 stories above you, might as well be the moon. Because getting there now takes the same 5 days, whether you have been down for 1 shift or 15. The body does not count time. It counts only depth. So the word saturation is not a metaphor. It is a physical state. You have absorbed the ocean's weight into your own tissue, and your tissue has stopped fighting it. You and the pressure are the same thing now, and the pressure takes payment. The autopsy of one of the men who died inside this system found something on the neck of his right thigh bone, a small patch of dead bone, dysbaric necrosis. The pressure had been dissolving his skeleton while he was still working, still climbing into the bell, still signing the shift log. Nobody knew. His bones were already being eaten. He felt nothing. That is the deal. You swallow the depth, you carry it in your blood for 4 weeks, and it takes from you what it wants while you sleep. It takes from you what it wants. And on the 5th of November, 1983, it took everything in half a second. Byford Dolphin, semi-submersible drilling rig, Frigg gas field, North Sea. 4 divers in the chamber system at 9 atmospheres. 2 tenders operating the bell outside. The bell had just been winched up and connected to the trunk. Divers 3 and 4 had crawled through into chamber 1. What remained was a checklist, 5 steps. The same 5 steps run 1,000 times on 100 rigs. Close the bell door. Raise bell pressure slightly to seal it. Close the door between the trunk and the chamber. Depressurize the trunk. Open the clamp. Steps 1 and 2 were done. Diver 4, a 34-year-old man, was reaching for the chamber door. Step 3. The tender opened the clamp. Step 5, before step 3. The trunk, still at 9 atmospheres, was now open to the air. 1 atmosphere on one side, 9 on the other. A pressure differential of 8 atmospheres released through a passage 60 centimeters wide with a man standing in it. The forensic report, published 5 years later in the American Journal of Forensic Medicine, used a phrase that does not belong in a scientific paper. It said, "The tender opened the clamp for some inexplicable reason." Not mechanical failure, not a miscommunication they could trace. The professor of forensic medicine at the University of Bergen wrote those words, submitted them to peer review, and no one struck them out. The blast tore the bell from the chamber and threw it across the deck. Both tenders were hit. One died, the other survived with injuries that followed him for life. Inside the chambers, divers 1, 2, and 3 died where they sat. Instantaneous. Diver 4 was in the doorway. The pressure differential fired him through the 60-centimeter opening, and he came apart. The door behind him jammed so hard into the frame that the recovery crew cut it free with an acetylene torch. Parts of him were found scattered across the rig. One piece was recovered from the derrick, 10 meters above the chambers. Here is what will not leave me. The liver was found on the deck, complete, intact, as if someone had dissected it out with surgical tools and placed it there. No surgeon touched that body. 9 atmospheres did the work in a fraction of a second, and the result looked like an operation. 5 men breathing, 1 open clamp, and a checklist that only needed 3 more seconds to save all of them. 3 more seconds. And instead, 3 days later, a forensic team opened the chambers and tried to explain what pressure does to a human body when it leaves all at once. Divers 1, 2, and 3 were still inside, dead where they had been sitting. The rigor mortis was abnormally strong, far beyond what the pathologists expected for the time elapsed. The hypostases, the pooling of blood after death, were light red instead of the usual purple. Every organ in every body showed massive amounts of gas in the blood vessels. Lungs waterlogged, livers swollen, nearly 2.5 kilos in one case. band like hemorrhages striped across the surface of the lungs, marking where each rib had pressed against the tissue when the pressure let go. One diver had a large blister on the white of his eye. Gas, trapped under the membrane, with nowhere to go. The brains were pale, almost white. The vessels that should have carried blood were filled with gas, and in the fat of the brain tissue, the pathologists found the same substance they had found everywhere else. Fat, free fat, in the arteries, in the veins, in the chambers of the heart. And here is what stops me. In every decompression death before this one, the word used was fat embolism. Fat carried by the blood from somewhere else in the body. But Geertsen looked at what was in front of him and wrote that the blood must have boiled instantaneously, stopping circulation completely. The fat had nowhere to travel from. It dropped out of the blood in place. The lipoproteins denatured, and the lipids became insoluble. His own description of what he found in the cardiac chambers: fat mixed with gas bubbles, looking, in his words, like sizzling butter on a frying pan. He proposed retiring the old term entirely. The language medicine had did not fit what the pressure left behind. The language did not fit, and neither did the official record. In 1982, 1 year before 5 men died on Biford Dolphin, Det Norske Veritas issued a revised regulation. It required that the trunk clamp be physically impossible to open while the system was pressurized. A mechanical interlock. Not a procedure, not a checklist, not a warning sign. A piece of steel that would stop a human hand from doing what Crammond's hand did. The regulation existed. Biford Dolphin was not rebuilt. The rule was not retroactive. The equipment that killed them had already been declared obsolete, on paper, by the authority responsible for keeping them alive. The paper did not apply backwards, so the clamp stayed. The expert commission called it human error. 25 years passed. In 2008, the findings shifted to equipment malfunction. In 2009, the Norwegian government paid the families. The record was rewritten. The dead were still dead. So here's what this leaves you with. Steel does not hold the ocean outside. The ocean is already inside you. Every cell, every vessel, every gram of fat in your brain is soaked in it. The steel holds you. It keeps your own body from flying apart. You did not hide from the pressure. You swallowed it. You carried it for 28 days. And it carried you, as long as every clamp and every seal and every step of a 5-step checklist stayed in order. One step out of sequence, half a second, and the pressure collects what it is owed. Decompression from 9 atmospheres takes roughly 5 days, whether you spent 1 shift at the bottom or 15. The body does not count hours down there. It counts only depth. Somewhere tonight, in the North Sea, a crew is sealed inside a chamber at 9 atmospheres. They will not leave for weeks. They cannot leave for days. And the only thing between them and half a second is a clamp. Beneath doesn't stop at the surface. Subscribe and we go to the next place the record stopped fitting.